Hey everyone, it's Carissa at Sprinkled with Glitter. Thanks for joining me today. Today I have a fun project featuring the January release from the Essentials by Ellen line. Now this release actually came out a couple of weeks ago. It was so hugely popular, I couldn't even get my video up before it sold out. So I decided to hold off on putting up the video until it came back into stock, and it is now in stock at ellenhutson.com, so you can get your hands on it. Now these stamps were designed by my friend Julie Ebersole. You can see the Arctic Pals stamp set there, and this is the Swell stamp set here. Swale, not swell. Do you see the difference there? You know, you got the whale in there. Now, these whales are adorable. I'm going to be using them in my project today, and they have some fun sentiments that go along with them, and of course, the coordinating dies. Now, I'm also going to be using this Strands die. Now, this is a really cool background die, and I'm going to show you how that works in just a minute because I feel like you can see it better in action than what I can explain it to you. So I'm going to start out with a couple of the whales from the Swale stamp set, and I have to say it like that, even though I feel like I'm saying it with an accent, because it actually has the word whale in it. And I'm just arranging them in my Mini Misty, and I'm going to stamp them onto some 80-pound Nina Solar White Classic Crest cardstock using some Memento Tuxedo black ink. I'm going to be doing a little COPIC coloring today, so this is my preferred ink and cardstock for COPIC coloring. Now these stamps are brand new, so I double inked and double stamped them, and so I could get a really nice bold black outline. Now the other thing I like to do is arrange these to where I can stamp a whole bunch of them on one piece of cardstock. I have this cardstock cut to 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, so I just flipped it around and stamped a couple more so that if I screw up, I have a couple more on hand. So now I'm doing a little COPIC coloring. I'm using BG10, BG11, and BG13, and I will have all of the COPIC colors and supplies linked over at my blog at sprinkledwithglitter.com, so be sure you check that out. I started by laying down a layer of the lightest color. Then I added my medium color into the parts where I wanted it shadowed, and then I added a very little bit of my darkest color, and I went back to my medium color and kind of blended that out, and then I'm going to finish the entire thing by blending over it with my lightest color. So simple COPIC coloring. I'm doing the same thing with my pink markers here, only I'm using 2 colors instead of 3. Now you're going to see that I went ahead and colored all of my whales here. And then I'm going to go in, and in the stamp set, there are these little detail images that fit along the belly of the whale perfectly. And I like that this just adds a little fun, kind of playful edge to them. And I'm going to emboss these with some clear sparkle embossing powder onto the bellies of these whales. Now, I didn't want my embossing powder to stick to areas that might still be wet from the COPIC markers. The COPIC markers are alcohol-based, so they do dry fairly quickly, but I just hit it with a heat tool just to make sure. And then I went in with my powder tool and prepped the surface. Now I started out with this kind of teal aqua color from Avery Elle, a pigment ink, and I didn't quite have the contrast that I wanted. So I went ahead and cleaned my stamp. I inked it up with some Versamark ink, and then right over the top, before I even stamp it, I'm going to add some Hero Arts navy ink. And then I'm going to stamp these 2 different patterns onto the bellies of my whales here. And it's just going to add a fun little detail to these whales. Now I'm coating it with some Wow Clear Sparkle embossing powder, and then I'm going to heat set that. That just gives it a little sparkle and shine. It's kind of hard to capture in the pictures, but in real life, I feel like those little details make all the difference. Now, once I have these all colored and all my stamping done, I'm going to go ahead and run them through my die cut machine using the coordinating dies. And here's that Strands die. I'm just laying it onto a card front. So this is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And you can see when I poke out all of the inner pieces, I am left with this really cool window. So those little strands stay attached inside of the window, which I think is a really fun way to use this as a window on the front of your card. Those are so delicate and so beautiful in real life. Now, I've also seen people use the inside portions that cut out as like little snowbanks on the front of the card. So there's a lot of ways that you can use this. I'm going to use it as a shaker window today, and you can see I added my acetate there and also some foam adhesive to the back of that. And now I'm going to create some ombre glitter for the back portion of my window. So I'm using the same 3 COPIC markers that I used earlier, the BG 10, 11, and 13, and I'm scribbling them and blending them all over a piece of Nina Solar White cardstock. And I'm just going to make sure that I have enough to fill the entire window, and then I'm going to take this Nuvo Moonstone Glimmer paste and cover the entire thing with a thin layer. Now, this blending doesn't have to be perfect because I'm covering it with the glitter, and glitter covers a multitude of sins. I mean, just throw some glitter on top of it. Nobody's even going to notice that you don't have a perfect blend because you got glitter on it, right? So this glimmer paste is actually a part of the Frozen bundle, which was a bundle of products that were put together to coordinate with this January release. It has a bunch of things that kind of lend themselves to the icy kind of polar feel of these stamps. And you can see while this glimmer paste is drying, I'm just working on some other portions of my card. I did that same exact blending with those 2 colors of pink to create some cardstock to die cut some hearts from. You can see them there at the top of the screen. And then I'm going to start filling my shaker window with my shaker guts. I am using some micro beads and some sequins that were included in that same Frozen bundle. And I was really delicate with those micro beads at first. And here's where I just start piling them in with a spoon because they are so fine, but they are really beautiful over the top of this glitter, ombre glitter background that I created. So once I have enough guts inside my window, I'm going to go ahead and press the backer onto that. I did want to note that all of that foam adhesive around the window in the back is touching so that none of my stuff will fall out when I put the backer on. And you can see how those just kind of roll around in there. The sequins and the beads together, the beads add like this kind of rolling effect where those sequins just kind of move around much easier and freer, and I love the way that it looks. So I've gone ahead and attached my whale over the top of that window. I attached my sentiment with some foam tape, and now I'm going to add these hearts onto the front of my card as well. I just thought this was a fun way to kind of finish off this card. I did take my Tonic Nuvo shimmer pen and added a little bit more shimmer to the belly of the whale and also to those hearts. And then I'm going to finish the hearts off by adding a layer of glossy accents over the top. And this is just a really fun get whale soon card. So now I have a couple extra whales and I thought I would put together another quick card for you. I'm just taking those whales that I created earlier and I'm stamping another sentiment and white heat embossing it onto some black cardstock. And I prepped the surface using my powder tool there, added some white embossing powder to that stamped sentiment and then heat set it. And then I just trimmed it into a little strip using my paper trimmer. Now this little pink whale needed a little sparkle and pattern on her belly too. So I grabbed one of those other patterns and I'm doing the same thing with that clear sparkle embossing. And now I'm taking an A2 sized card base. Now I hardly ever create these horizontal cards, but these 2 images together just lend themselves with the way they're kind of long to a horizontal card. So this card measures 5.5 by 8.5 and it's scored at 4 1/4 to create my 4 1/4 by 5.5 finished card size. And then I'm just going to add all of my elements on using some foam adhesive. And I did stamp the little waves on the bottom of this card front using a couple of different colors from Altenew. It is the Volcano Lake and the Mountain Mist. Now to coordinate with the other card, I added a few more of those little hearts, and then I'm going to finish the card off by rounding the corners. Have not done that in forever, but I thought it was the perfect finishing touch for this very simple kind of bonus card that I'm creating for you today. So here's a final look at the completed card projects for today. I have that beautiful kind of ombre glitter background in the background of this Strands die, which is so beautiful. And like I said, those micro beads just add this really cool rolling effect over the top of that glitter. It's almost like the glitter is rolling around inside of that shaker window. It is so cool. And then, of course, I have my two little lovey whales, and I think this would be a perfect card for Valentine's Day. In fact, I may just use it for my husband for Valentine's Day, or he might steal it from my stash and give it to me. You never know. As always, I will have links to all the featured products in the description at YouTube, but join me over on my blog at sprinkledwithglitter.com because I'll have more still shots, more information, and a complete list of supplies over there. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe and share it with your friends. As always, thanks for watching. Thanks for stopping by and spending time with me today. And until next time, I hope you have a fabulous day.